Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Bob Pompeani here at 412-575-2600. That's the hotline. You can hit us up. Andrew Fillipponi joins me up at the Fan at 93.7 The Fan. And Pony, very interesting yesterday, a productive day for the Steelers without ever playing a game. Everybody lost, so they're up in a nice position after 4 weeks. There's still a lot of football left, but the way this division is looking right now, it's hard for me to believe the Steelers won't end up winning this thing just by virtue of the Ravens' injuries, their hole that they've dealt for themselves, the Bengals with no Joe Burrow, and the Browns is the Browns. So the question is, why is Baltimore still favored? Does it have something to do with their schedule? Because if you look at the odds right now, they're still favoring Baltimore to win this division.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Now, for the Ravens, they're sitting at 1-4. They've got a horrible defense. They've got their 6 highest paid players not in, and they weren't playing good defense even before the Lamar Jackson injury, even before all the injuries occurred. Guys like Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith. If you look at the schedule for Baltimore, they've got to play the Rams Sunday. They're going to lose that game. They're a 7.5-point underdog in that one.
That's shocking.
They've got Green Bay late in the year on the road at Lambeau. So if you count both of those games right there as losses, well, suddenly that's a 6-loss team. Best case scenario, I would say. And that would include sweeping the Steelers, sweeping the Bengals. They've got to play Minnesota late in the year. They've still got to play the Bears in a couple of weeks. So it's not out of the question that the Ravens finish 9-8, 8-9. I think that's a real possibility for them. And I think it would take the Steelers really struggling to get to that record, to win only 9 games at this point. I mean, it seems like worst case scenario, they're going to extend Mike Tomlin's streak of non-losing seasons. But really, with the next couple of games they got here, there's no reason why they shouldn't be 5-1, Bob. I mean, they really should beat the 2 Ohio teams in the next 2 weeks, and then that'll obviously set up just a massive game for the Aaron Rodgers versus Packers game that'll probably set some ratings records for NBC when that matchup happens.
Yeah, but you're right. They got 2 teams that are wounded, not playing well. Cleveland's got to fly back from London here, play in Pittsburgh with a rookie quarterback playing his second game. I don't know what you thought of Dylan Gabriel. I thought he was pretty good, actually. I mean, they were in position to win that game, and their defense couldn't stop Carson Wentz on an 80-yard drive to end the game. But he looked okay for me.
I think really most of their rookies on offense have looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm saying that about the Browns, but Judkins has been the best rookie running back in the NFL, better than Ashton Genty to this point in the season. Isaiah Bond, who they picked up because of his off-the-field issues, is a contributor now in their offense. Fan in the tight end from Bowling Green, he's right up there with Tyler Warren as far as production from rookie tight ends in the NFL. Their problem right now is their offensive line because their tackles are hurt. And that should be a big-time advantage for the Steelers with T.J. Watt and Nick Herbig, and it looks like Alex Highsmith is going to come back. But Dylan Gabriel, if I'm a Browns fan, I'd be encouraged. I mean, there's not a lot to get excited about if you're a Browns fan, but you put a young quarterback in, and he came out early. He led a scoring drive in the first quarter. He didn't turn the ball over against that Flores exotic defense. And sure, like late in the game, you want to see him probably make more plays, but for a rookie making his first start, the first ever, to be forced to do it internationally in a game in England, I actually gave him like a B+ for that game, Bob. I thought Dylan Gabriel looked like an NFL starting quarterback in that matchup.
He certainly did. We have a lot to talk about here, so the phone lines are now open at 412-575-2600. We'll also delve into Pitt, which made a quarterback change, and it changed their production from one game to the next. Louisville to Boston College. We'll talk about that. Penn State's absolute miserable performance against UCLA, what it means for them, and more specifically, what does it mean for James Franklin? And you see our question tonight brought to you by Penn West University, and that is, will the Penguins be the worst team in the NHL this year? My answer to that would be no. They're starting tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about their roster, 2 teenagers on it, and a bunch more all coming up right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, so don't go away. We're just getting started. I want to hear from you at 575-2600 right here on KDKA+. All right, this is our Xfinity tweet of the night coming from Penguins PR. everything Sidney Crosby accomplished in his NHL career prior to 18-year-old teammate Ben Kindle, born in that date you see there, April 19th, 2007. And look at this from Sidney Crosby. And here he is still playing, year 20. And Ben Kindle has made the roster at age 18. And Andrew, this is the first time since going back to Jordan Stahl when he was an 18-year-old, and Chris Letang back in 2006. And Stahl was in same position as Kindle and also Harrison Brunig, in that if they have 9 games to figure out if they're good enough to stay here, they can send them back to their junior teams. But Jordan Stahl lasted the entire time, and now he's in year 20. It's amazing to see what's happening here. So how would you look at this Penguin team right now as they begin play tomorrow against the Rangers and Mike Sullivan? 2 teenagers, 13 different players that are new on the 23-man roster. What's your thought?
No, I think they're horrible. I mean, I can't believe that Sidney Crosby's on a team that is this bad, but I'm looking at the line combinations projected for tomorrow night in the defense pairings. Bob, Parker Wotherspoon's on their top pair. Who is that?
Oh, he played in Boston.
I mean, seriously.
I know.
Well, right. He was just a 7th defenseman for them. He's a top pair guy that might log 25 minutes or somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think he's just
for this team.
He's there probably to offset maybe what Carlson, or compliment him or something of that nature. I'm a little bit surprised by that because they have 2 guys who actually have been around in Matt Dumba and I forget the other defenseman, also Colin Clifford.
They're going to be in the press box.
Right, and
they're not going to play.
They actually making like $3 million plus a year, and I don't understand why they're not more involved in this. But it's game 1. But your overall thought is you don't think they're going to be very good.
Justin Brazeau is in their top 6. I mean, these are just. I mean, I'm going to say it. Doesn't it sound like a Pirates hockey lineup? I mean, you've got guys that are either journeymen or young players that have failed with other organizations or bounced around, who you're giving ice time to. I know obviously things are a little bit wonky because Brian Rust is starting the year on the IR, so guys move up in your lineup as far as the forward groups are concerned, but I don't see a competitive hockey team. I think there's a reason why they've got the worst odds of any team in the Eastern Conference to make the playoffs. Yeah. I just see a very incomplete. I see a hockey team that's worse than last year's team on paper, Bob, and that team really didn't come close to making the playoffs.
Well, the only thing I could think of to compare this to is how the Washington Capitals were viewed the same way just a few years ago, and then last year put together a team that was very good, and they brought a lot of guys in, new roster almost, in addition to the Ovechkins and the guys who've been around for a while. Maybe Dan Muse has some touch here, but I was a little surprised that Sergei Miroshov did not make this roster, given the fact that I thought he was really good in the preseason. And at the start of this whole process, Kyle Dubas said this is going to be a clean slate. Whoever's the best will be on the roster, and yet that's not the case there.
But they have guys, Washington, the Hershey Bears have been like the best minor league hockey team for a half decade. And they've had guys, young players that have come through their pipeline that have added to their NHL team, that have augmented that aging core that they had. The young guys the Penguins are given opportunities to, it's not like they were super productive minor league players. The 2 teenagers, to me, are just going to be here for the first 9 games. I would be very surprised if they were here beyond that. Maybe they'll surprise me. Maybe they'll look like NHL players. But I don't think when they took Kindle with the 11th pick in the draft, they anticipated that he was going to be an NHL regular this season. Preseason obviously opened eyes. I get all that, but I think Kyle Dubas has got a long-range plan, Bob. And that long-range plan involves trying to put yourself in position to get the guy that's playing hockey 2.5 hours from here. My guess.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And he was on display at Arizona State this weekend. It looked very good with his quick release of a one-timer, man. That dude can do a lot of things. And Gavin McKenna's going to, I want to talk about, since we're talking about him and elite players, today we saw Connor McDavid. He's got a new contract.
He's going to give Edmonton an extended window to compete for a Stanley Cup. So then when he leaves, they really can't bash him for it, because he will have saved them money. He will have given them a chance, and then if they don't make the most of it, that's on them and not him. Yeah, and who knows? I mean, Mike Sullivan might end up coaching Connor McDavid when it's all said and done. I just have a weird feeling that he's going to end up in New York with the Rangers at some point, Bob.
Well, they have the money to do it. We'll find out. And if Sullivan can deal with the owner over there, who seems to meddle in a lot of different things, we'll see how it goes. All right, I want to get back to football.
I like them this year, by the way. I like them this year. I think the Rangers are going to make the playoffs. You do not? You don't like Igor Shesterkin, huh?
I think he's okay, but I just don't like their team overall. I think they have too many.
You don't like JT Miller and Vinny Trocheck?
I don't. I think they're getting older, and I don't think they're as productive as they once were. I don't. Are they still good players?
Wow.
Certainly they are. But I'm not going to bet on them.
So who makes the playoffs from the Metro? Who comes out of the Metro division then, Bob?
First of all, I'm disappointed every year in Carolina, but I got to believe they're going to be one of the teams there.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if Philadelphia makes a little bit of a jump. I don't know how far they can jump, but I wouldn't be surprised. Beyond that, I haven't studied the Islanders enough to know what they are. I haven't studied the Devils enough to know what they are at this point because we're just starting this process. I think Toronto has a team that could get to the Stanley Cup final, and I know all of Canada would love to see that, especially those people who have endured their teams over the years. I think the Penguins will be better than you think. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs or not, but I think they're going to be better than you think for some reason. I don't know why, but that's what I feel. We have our number one Cochran Go One Better caller of the night right now. We're going to go to him, and that's Frank in Monessen, who wants to chime in on this. What's up, Frank?
Hey, good evening, guys.
Good evening.
Is that Andrew there that complained about the rookie players and such? Well, who else is there? Who else? Tell me who else you're going to play. You're complaining about these young guys, and for the Penguins, he said, "Well, you're starting this guy, you're starting that guy." You know what they finished?
Yeah, the guys I was talking about were not rookies. They were basically guys they brought in on one-year contracts, like the Pirates do.
Well, why are you complaining about them? I mean, who else are?
Because they're not good.
Who do you play?
I'm not complaining about them. I'm just stating the fact that they're not good. Isn't that the point?
Yeah, he's analyzing them. And what his belief is, Andrew believes they're not going to be good. And a lot of people concur with that. So, I mean, at the point of...
How is that complaining? I'm supposed to look at Parker Wotherspoon and say he's the next Paul Coffey? For crying out loud, I mean, what do people want? There's a reason why, if you look at the odds board, the Sharks and Blackhawks have the same odds as the Penguins. Nobody thinks they're good. I'm sorry. No one does. And I see no reason to think they're going to be better. Their best goalie's not even in the NHL, Bob. Think about that for a second.
That's what I would like to see up there. But I'll say this. This has the distinct feel of, the Chicago Blackhawks when they had Kane and Taves. And that team those guys hung around for a long time, even after they won Stanley Cups. And then eventually it just kind of crumbled. And I would think that the Penguins are kind of looking at that same sort of future here, at least for the next couple of years. Now, can they buck the odds and put something together and stun people and get into the playoffs? We'll see, but it doesn't seem likely based on what they're doing.
They don't want Erik Karlsson here. They're stuck with Erik Karlsson.
Well,
no one wanted Erik Karlsson's contract.
I'm sure they tried. At least I would have tried. And I thought of the one player who's on this roster who I thought would not be here was Erik Karlsson. I thought somebody would be a taker, even if the Penguins had to pay half of that salary or more. I would have just moved on from that, but they haven't done so. So we'll see. We got to take a break here. We'll do it. We'll come back with more. It's 412-575-2600. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on KDK+. All right, Pony, we saw a wild NFL weekend. A lot of teams came back from double-digit deficits. Probably the most unlikely one was Tennessee and how they beat Arizona, but they did. But I want to talk about this game tonight that's going on because Jacksonville looks like a real player here. If they win, they're 4-1. They were leading last I checked, 21-14 over Kansas City. And Travis Hunter made an unbelievable catch in that game. I don't know what the score is now. Is it tied? 24-21, Jacksonville. So if Kansas City loses, have you lost faith that they could be a team that can get to a conference final again, or do you still believe they have a little magic left?
I think they can get to a conference championship. I wouldn't predict. I didn't predict them to before the season. I had the Bengals in the conference championship game. Goes to show you what I know before the Joe Burrow injury and everything else that's happened to them. Actually, I did have them playing the Chiefs. What am I talking about? I had Chiefs-Bengals in the AFC championship game. So, no, I'm not going to abandon Kansas City. I think right now the team that's the best team in the AFC is Indianapolis. And everybody thinks that the clock is going to strike midnight on Daniel Jones. But they're playing better than everybody else. When they play a bad team, they kill that team. They pound that team. They blow that team out. If not for a couple of Jones interceptions against the Rams, they'd be undefeated. And he had those turnovers, and they were still right there at the very end of the game. So I think 5 weeks into the season, they're not the team to beat because they don't have the track record. But their resume this season I think is the best in the AFC so far.
Yeah, when you have Jonathan Taylor running the way he's running too, and their defense is playing better than I think most people thought, and Jones has had a second wind over there, second opportunity. 1 year, $14 million seems like a good investment, and they'll probably have to talk long-term deal at some point with him. But that's interesting how this is going. And I just, the Bengals are just, what are they going to do? They talk about making some moves here at quarterback. The only thing they could do is make a trade, but who to trade for? Jake Browning just did not look anywhere near the last time I saw him playing a game last year when he looked okay. And the Steelers have him on a short week, so it looks like they're in big, big trouble.
Well, he's got 8 interceptions, and he didn't even start the season in the lineup, so that's really bad. He's very turnover prone. We're going to find out if what they did in the second half against Detroit was the Lions just playing prevent defense, or if they actually found something, because him and Jamar Chase teamed up for some huge plays, but they were down big in that game. And you always have to take those statistics, Bob, with a grain of salt. So the Steelers should win that game, but we've seen weird things happen when they play AFC North teams on a short week.
Especially on a Thursday night. All right. Pony, thanks as always. Appreciate it. We'll see you again tomorrow night.
See you,
We'll
Bob.
talk about this stuff as we continue right here Tuesday night with our edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. That's going to do it for Andrew Fillipponi and Bob Pompeani. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow, same time, 10:35, right here on KDKA+. Have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow.